into Life is a Sacred Journey. Every week, we bring a new perspective to aging and caregiving. Here is your host, Micheal Pope.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to Life is a Sacred Journey. I am your host, Micheal Pope, and it is 8 o'clock on Friday, January 14th, and we are coming together this morning for a Pondering. If you are new to Life is a Sacred Journey, we have the opportunity every Friday to bring individuals from the caregiving world and experts throughout the community to talk about how we can live our best life, whether it be from health areas or financial areas. Last week we had Jason Matthews from Matthews Financial, and we talked a lot about the stock market and, you know, just how things are going in the world around finances. So it was really good because I had an opportunity to go back and look at my documents and just try to figure out if I had my money in the right places. And then later this week, he wrote on his website, CREAM, that there's four, I think there were four different areas where you could put your money in and keep the money liquidables, that you could, you know, break it down. So I thought that was really great, a great podcast. I learned a great deal from it. So this is a pondering, and when we do the ponderings, it means that I get to share what I've been thinking about all week. I will start with this. As you know, I have the honor of walking with people with Alzheimer's and dementia. And one of the things that we have noted in the care of people living with Alzheimer's and dementia is that they're very tactile as they move on in the disease process. And these beautiful, we have these here. This one we're getting ready to take downstairs and give to one of our participants to hold on to every day and massage her and all of this. And the reason these are important, now, yes, live animals are very important, but sometimes the person with the dementia may rub them too hard or whatever, and then the animal won't stay. The animal has its own mind, so it will leave and go off and go take a nap and all of that. So we have, this is the cat, the foot or the paws have a feeling to them, so they're nubby, and they make it so you can really feel them. You know how you were when you had that little blanket when you were little? It's the same kind of thing. So you can see here, this is an incredible, so you'll see him moving back there as the podcast goes on. We also have a dog, and we will be testing those. So I will let you know how they work out in the program if you are somebody who is caring for someone in the moderate stages, because this is definitely not something for someone in the early stages who can tell the difference between a doll and an animal. But in the moderate to late stages, when the individual needs something more comfort in their lap or just something to hold on to and feel that's that tactile feeling of comfort, these animals are proving, research is proving that they really do help comfort a person living with Alzheimer's. Again, moderate to late stages, not somebody in the early stages who can still, navigate the difference between, a real animal and a doll. And the other is understanding that people with Alzheimer's and dementia, their world is very different. I've been talking to a lot of our caregivers. Monday was our first support group for caregivers for 2022. And a lot of it is, how do we keep the loved one engaged? How do we find out what we can do with the loved one to ensure that they're okay? And what we find is, yes, we can, by engaging them in conversation, engaging them with things like this. You can modify cooking and modify gardening in such a way that they can still do it. What do I mean by that? Modifying, let's start with gardening, would mean a higher bed that the person could stand and do the gardening instead of having to get down on a gardening pad because it's very difficult to get up. Or if it's doing the dishes or something like that and the loved one still lives at home, then changing the dishes to dishes that are unbreakable so that the person can feel like they're contributing to the home. So those are the kinds of things that really are important to the person's self-esteem and dignity. So I just wanted to share that with you because the cat's been sitting here. You may hear it meow. You definitely will see it probably move. The batteries are low on it, so that's why it's got a little lag time. But I've had it here, and I will February 1, we will begin to test them in the program. So that's why that cat's sitting there. It looks real, but it's not. So after the conversation that we had last week with Jason, as I said, I have begun to think about retirement, what retirement really means. Retirement for me just means moving on to something else, to the next phase of life, whatever that may be. I don't know what that's going to be. But I went up and looked to find out some of the secrets, like what is the best way to think about retirement? How do you put some steps in place to think about retirement? And the thing that was interesting to me, some of these things may, for some of you, you're like, yeah, duh. But for some people who have never invested or come from families where investing was not a part of their vocabulary or not a part or didn't have the ability to, we have first generation investors out there now, people who are saving their money. They understand the value of money. Credit cards didn't come into existence, as Jason reminded me last week, until the 80s. Can you imagine that? So the amount of credit card debt in America or across the world has happened from 1980 to 2022. That's not a long period of time where we move from a barter, a semi-barter system, layaway, people saving, putting their money away to save for that big item. But in the 80s, we introduced the credit card. And I remember this because I had already graduated from college, for a minute. And I got my first credit card in the mail. And that credit card showed me that I could spend whatever I want, but I didn't understand all that small print, all that stuff about things having to be paid at a certain time and all of that. So it's interesting how we learn as we move into our lives. I didn't know what the credit score thing was. I don't even know if I do know. Even though my father had his own business, he was not able to obtain credit from a bank for buying things for his store. It was a convenience store. This was before 7-Eleven and Super 8s. And I remember him saying he was a cash and carry business. And that just meant that he wasn't able to get credit for to fix a building or make an investment because he was not black, because my father was African American. Or Native American. So anyway, and so we as a country have this paradox that we're living in, that you want stuff, and so we use credit to purchase that stuff, but then the value of the stuff actually has no value, much of it. And credit is good, and maybe if I guess if you have a hot water heater that busts and you need to get new hot water in your house, and you use credit for that. But when you're not trained on how to use credit, it can destroy your existence for the rest of your life, because your credit score is something that fluctuates. And I don't even know, does everybody's credit score begin at 0? I should have asked Jason that. I don't know the answer to that. If you know the answer to that, write that in the chat. Does the credit score start at 0 and then over your lifetime you have to get it up to 700, or I don't even know what the top is. Is it 900, 800? I don't know. Is that how it happens? Because that's kind of a setup. How do you start with a 0 credit score when you've never had credit before? I guess you do. That would make sense. You start at zero, and then as you add credit, you would grow. But the credit that's being measured, is that really your financial value? I don't know the answer to that. I'm gonna ponder that one for a minute. I'm gonna call Jason after this. But I did look up, some of the 7 secrets smart professionals, it says, use to choose financial advisors. I know in my life there was no such thing as a financial advisor. I didn't even know about financial advising until I was pretty old at that point and had made a lot of income that just was like water through my hands, because nobody, except for taking it to the bank and putting it in a bank account, I never knew anything about buying stock or fiduciary stuff or any of that. So now we have to do a better teaching around that. Leon even said after the podcast last week, we need to start teaching young people in middle school how to do banking. And when I grew up, they taught us that, at least, how to write a check, bank accounts. We even had our own little credit union in our high school. But at the end of the day, financial freedom requires more steps than that. So in this, they say, don't hire an advisor just because. It says, talk to friends, talk to family, and find out who they're working with to help them plan their financial future. And maybe that's the better route to go. Meet with more than 1, 2, 3 people around your finances. Don't give one person all of the money. Those were some of the things that I see here. The other was, don't pick, and I love this, an advisor with an incompatible strategy. So I work with Lincoln Advisors, and Lincoln Advisors, they nonprofit, and so their investments, where they invest my dollars, are in things for social justice and change. And so I may not make as much money as someone else whose portfolio investments go into corporations or things like that. But I know that every dollar that I make is planting a tree. Every penny that I make is a company is purifying ocean water, was one of the organizations that I saw in the last stuff that they sent me. So, and again, for me, and disclaimer, as always, Life is a Sacred Journey I am not about telling you what to do. I'm about sharing with you the things that I've come across in my journey, my sacred journey from Friday to Friday. And so that is what this is all about. We have a disclaimer that we have written there. Everything we do is educational. We go to resources that are given to the greater world, and they're in the public eye, in the public domain. So nothing that comes out of Life is a Sacred Journey is to force you to do anything. It's to just get you to ponder and to think about maybe something very different. So don't pick an advisor with an incompatible strategy, because when you find out that your dollars are going there and you get upset, there's nothing really you can do until you pull your money out and change. So be careful about that. Always ask for credentials. Understand how you're getting your dollars. Like I realized the other day, we have an investment account with a bank, and the money just stays there and to grow for our organization. Well, I found out that they're charging me $20 service fee per month. Well, if they keep doing that, there won't be any money in the account long term. So we're going to be having a conversation, because what are you servicing? And I realized what it was is because they're sending us a paper statement. So we're going to go online. Today, we're going to go online and make sure our statement comes online, because we don't need to pay $20 for somebody to send us a piece of paper in the mail. So look at all those things. Can you get it online? Do you feel safe getting it online? And if you don't, then know that they're going to charge you nowadays to send the materials out to you in a paper format. I still get a lot of stuff in a paper format from me personally, only because I was hacked financially through the internet, and now I'm gun shy about paying bills online, even looking at my bank account online. I do it, but it creates great anxiety for me because when my account was hit, they hit everything. And for 90 days, everything was frozen and I had no access to any of my own finances until they were able to find it, get it, bring it back, checks bounce, things just direct payments. It was bad. And it's a good thing that I had children that could help me and support me financially till I got it all done. But not many people, not everyone has that safety net. I have I gave birth to my safety net, and I'm thankful that they loved me enough and understood that I wasn't being negligent. I was still being a good steward of my finances. It's that somebody went in and hacked me. And it was really bad, you guys. It took a lot for me to I had to close out a 30 plus year, I've been in California now, 35 year account with the Golden One Credit Union. I had to wipe that out and open a new account with them. And it was, and that I was upset by that, even though I love the Golden One, my history didn't go with me. And I've had a great history with them. So I started a brand new account, like a brand new person, even though I had a 35, this happened last year, so 34-year history with them. I'm not mad at them because I love them. But at the end of the day, do you see, my life got turned upside down for 90 days, 3 months, because of a hacker. And I'm now very super vigilant about my finances. That's why if you're doing anything online, make sure you have a time every single month to reconcile and to balance all that, because this happened just recently. There was I was checking my account and I saw a debit from DoorDash, and I was just like, DoorDash, when did I use DoorDash? And it was a lot of money because it was a lot of food and they came a distance. But I didn't remember at that particular time that I had asked my daughter to order some food and use my DoorDash account. So I had to go back in, and I actually took I left the DoorDash account, but I took the credit cards and debit cards and cleaned it up because I realized that over this pandemic year that I was using DoorDash a lot because I really haven't gone into too many grocery stores. My daughter has done all my shopping for me, and we'll go into that in a minute. So make sure you know what's happening with your financial situation, because had I not got a call from somebody saying that the check bounced, it was the church actually, which I was so embarrassed, because it's not that much, and I wouldn't have known until the end of the month, and that would have been way too late because yeah, it would have been a mess. And I have to tell you this too. This is when I gave up Netflix, because I called Netflix and I said, I've been hacked. There is no account. I have to wait 90 days because they got some money and we had to figure out where it went, and the bank had to do their investigation in order to give it back to me. And I said, I need an address to send you a check. And they said, no, we don't have that. I said, okay. They said, no, we need you to use a debit. I said, you're not hearing me. All my debit and credit cards are tied up now. I have to renew them all, and I don't have that. I need to pay you. And they said, we don't accept checks, money orders. We don't even have a lockbox for that. So I gave up Netflix because I thought, so if you can't go into my checking account, you are saying to me that Netflix is only for people who have checking account? So my social justice kind of hat went on, and I thought, then Netflix be gone from my existence. So The only reason Netflix is in my house is because it's my daughter's Netflix account that because she just recently moved out, and that's the only reason it's there. So I'm trying to weigh all this stuff about finances and how we've changed to a society where we will not accept cash. I understand the COVID thing because that's bigger than this conversation. But after being a Netflix, customer for a long time, because Netflix has been around a long time, and I used to get the kids' videos and discs when it come to the house. You are not going to accept their payment. But guess what? I've heard from them every single month since they wouldn't take my money, asking me to come back. Same thing with Sirius XM. No, okay, here, blah, blah, okay. Then they said, we'll give it to you free for a year if you come back. No. So that's the other thing, my friends. We have to realize that we have to have a value system that we hold our vendors to. And when we don't hold them to that value system, then we make it bad for other people who don't have the resources that we may have to fight that war with them. For somebody who doesn't have a checking account, who only can do cash and carry, that means they can't get Netflix, which means they're not exposed to, and I'm talking about documentaries right now, a higher level of something that everybody else gets to get exposed to. That's a caste system that is within that makes it hard for us to navigate the world as human beings when one person can be allowed to do something, but another person can't. But they both have the dollars to do it, but one has it on a plastic card or gives you access, and another person has to give you a check. So I just thought that was interesting. So I'm sharing that with you as a ponder. So they say, follow these steps to get matched with the right advisor. Make sure that you have somebody that lives in your community and understands the community in which you live in. Make sure that the person is not so big on trying to get you to invest all your dollars with them, and that they understand you need to diversify and split it up in different venues, different vendors. Also, put some of it, they say, still put some of it in traditional banking models. And so all of those things, when you think about your finances, keep those things in mind as you move forward. Okay. So now I want to talk about, did I lose you? Oh, there you are. I did lose you for a minute. The other thing that I've been pondering, this came up for me yesterday. And I realized that I am getting older. I tell you all the time, there was a time that I spoke to my grandmother and she taught me so many things, and she was so honest. And I remember walking away from the conversation thinking, wow, she was really honest. And I think that happens to us as we get older. We don't want to waste time in the nebulae. We really want to get to the heart of the matter. And I was involved in a situation over the last week where I felt unheard. And I felt so unheard. And the persons that weighed in on what they thought they heard didn't have the capacity to be gracious enough to give me an opportunity to explain. That they had already formulated their opinion of what I said without being inquisitive and asking questions. And it made me realize, because I've done this in my life as well, that our life experiences, our interactions, where we grew up, what world we're a part of, our bubble, all those things are in there, right? And they're like little filters. I'm thinking of them, I'm visual. So they're little filters that are in there with every experience. And then somebody says something and you filter them through all of that, and then you come up with your own opinion. And I realized that we must be more inquisitive than that. We can't rely on what we know as truth, because sometimes that truth is jaded, actually all the time. That truth is jaded by life experience. So my truth will always be jaded by the fact that I'm a woman and that I have felt, and every woman has felt unseen or unheard because of our gender. It will go through my ethnicity, because again, we know in our country there have been times that, and are continue to be times, where people of color are mistreated or just ignored. Their intelligence, their wisdom are ignored. So it's filtering through that. It's filtering through being a single parent and having to really struggle for many, many years and do without, to not eat so that my kids could eat, and do it in a way that they wouldn't notice it, right? So that they wouldn't even notice that there was a problem. And I can speak of it now because they're grown and it doesn't matter anymore. But all those things, I filter everything through that, through divorce. I'm a person that's been through a divorce, through death. I've lost a child, a sibling now, mother, father. So when we filter what we hear through who we are, we must understand that our conclusion may not be the truth. It may not be the reality. I've done it. I continue to do it. I probably did it today already and didn't even realize it, where I came to a false opinion of something because of who I am and my experiences. But the other side of the coin is, as I'm asking those questions, this is because I'm very big at this. People who know me know that I'm asking you a million questions to come up so I can understand. And a lot of people roll their eyes and get sick of it. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to filter it through all the things that I just said and the hidden things that I didn't say. And by doing that, then I'm trying to figure out, where do I belong in this conversation? How do I contribute to this conversation? Am I being heard? What do I need to say? How do I remain professional? All these things happen in a conversation. And so we need to slow the conversation down. We need to give and honor people where they are. We have to stop being willing and wanting to debate that. Somebody said this to me just the other day, Micheal, you shouldn't feel that way. How can you tell me that I can't feel the way that I want to feel, or the way that I actually feel? You can't tell me that. You can say, maybe you can think about it this way, and maybe you might feel differently if you thought about it this way, but you can't tell me that what I'm feeling has no value. And it's dismissive, and we do it all the time. I've done it with the kids. I've done it. And I realize, and as I'm getting older, I'm looking at who I am and how authentic I am in the world. Am I courageous enough to speak the truth, even when the truth doesn't want to be heard by the people around me? Am I courageous enough to be authentic about who I am and living in that space, knowing who I am, so I don't have to feel guilty when I say something? It is hard being a human being walking this freaking planet. I'm telling you, this is hard freaking work. But the good news is, when we're together and we have the opportunity to have conversation, like my brother Stuart Furman, I love him, because anytime Stuart has wanted to have a conversation with me about something that I've said, or that we've discussed at Life is a Sacred Journey, he'll send me an email or send me a note. And it's never from the place of, you were wrong. It's more about, you might want to think, and I love that, because I count on that. And then he's always sending me music and things that make me feel good. And that's a relationship. That's a friendship. So we're never in debate about anything, even if we disagree on the topic or the execution of how we see ourselves in it. And that's a wonderful, wonderful gift to have with another human being. I have it with all of you. Many of you all of you that come to Life is a Sacred Journey, except for 1 or 2, 3, 4 people. One person came into the DM and he was so angry because he thinks I'm too liberal. He thinks I'm too liberal, but he also thinks I'm a communist. So, it's kind of interesting. But again, we are all in this together. And I think we're a very cliche slogan community of people, and we make up these things. Where's the beef? We're all in this together, put one foot in front of the other. And they're wonderful sort of affirmations. But when they become these route sort of statements that we make just because we've been advertised, they've advertised them to us to death and created income from them. Like be happy. Do you know how many billions of dollars were made on those 2 words? Be happy. Yeah. So again, how do we motivate ourselves to make it through the day? How do we motivate ourselves to be in conversation and not always in debate? And how do we look at each other for who we are as individuals on the planet and in the community space? As I close, I know this weekend is a profound weekend, and we're getting ready to celebrate the life of Martin Luther King. You can see him back here with Malcolm X, 2 of my favorite heroes. And I want us to be reminded, and I'm going to say this, and again, hear my heart, dissect the words, and if you need to ask a question, ask a question. Martin Luther King it's great that we get to celebrate his birthday. But I'm sure that when Coretta Scott King was alive, she wanted a husband. She wanted her husband. She did not want to live the rest of her life raising her children alone. I know his children who loved him deeply missed him. And so as we celebrate the birthday, we need to think about the sacrifice of a man who understood that he was putting himself in the firing line and the possibility of his demise was imminent. And he knew it. All of our great leaders who speak the truth and are willing to stand in the gap for us as community leaders know that their lives and their days may be numbered. And so as we celebrate Martin Luther King Day, Martin Luther King's birthday, let us not forget what he gave us. Let us ponder what he gave us. And let us ponder that a sacrifice of life was given and it affected many lives. And did we learn anything from the sacrifice? I don't know how you plan to celebrate your Martin Luther King Day, but I pray that you will get up in the morning and think about the life. He's not just the speech, I have a dream. He is a man who was beaten, jailed. Tapes were put in hotel rooms to split him up from his wife, to talk about his infidelity and all of that. Just a variety of things. Let's think about the sacrifice that Martin Luther King, the courage that it took to step out and fight for the rights of not just brown and black people, but for poor people. And it wasn't the civil rights black movement. That was a part of it. But Martin Luther King was assassinated when the message went about poverty and the eradication of poverty for all people, and that racism was just a seed within the whole spectrum of poverty. As long as he was just focusing on one topic, yes, he was, he was still being followed and all that kind of stuff. But it was when the message took in the reason for the racism, the thing that was fueling the racism, because we all know that Africans were brought to this country as income to produce money. And so as you move from there to sharecropping to people living in a community where they are not contributing because they cannot, and this warrior comes out of the civil rights movement, continues to speak about the civil rights movement, and then says, poverty. And then he was silenced. So celebrating Martin Luther King's birthday is not just I have a dream. It's a full life of going at the social justices of all people to say that everybody matters, that all people deserve to have a home, education, and to contribute to the greater society. So let's honor Martin Luther King by celebrating Monday in a way that we maybe never thought that we would. Yes, the I Have a Dream speech is an incredible speech, but that's not all he was. He was a father. He was a husband. He was a son. He was a pastor. He was so many things. But more than anything else, he was a lion for the rights of people. And we celebrate you, Martin Luther King, here at Life is a Sacred Journey. I personally thank you for the life that I have been able to give. And I pray you are living your best life and that you are resting in peace. Too soon, too soon. Lastly, Sidney Poitier. I would be remiss if I didn't bring up Sidney Poitier. He was my first crush. And I remember it so vividly. Seeing him in Lilies of the Field. And when he was singing with the German nuns. And I fell in love. And then I fell in love with Harry Belafonte once I saw Carmen. But I was in love with Sidney Poitier. Sidney Poitier reminded me and continued to remind me and will always remind me of my father. Because the images of Black men are always, there's too many images of Black men being gangbangers, shooting people, killing people, murdering people, leaving their families, all of that. That messaging is across the board. But people and men like Sidney Poitier exist even today, who walk with pride and dignity, take care of their families, don't desert their families. I gave birth to one. Leon, his father. There, Sidney Poitier spoke with English with dignity and respect at all times. 94, I believe, years old, and refused to take parts that would demean the value of the Black man and his people. Sidney Poitier, thank you for giving me, outside of my dad was my first male, I loved my father, and then you. Thank you for showing me what true Black male pride looks like, even up until the last breath that you took. Thank you for the archive of movies that are so magnificent, and the artistry of your purpose can be seen forever. And so, thank you, Sidney Poitier. We will miss you. Rest in peace. And to you, life is a sacred journey, audience, family, friends, community. I thank you for coming every Friday, 8 a.m. right here and sharing this time with us. And if you have any topics, or if any of you know someone who you think you might want to see me have a conversation with in the virtual neighborhood, drop a line in the message, let us know. Felicia is feeling better. She told me last week that the COVID symptoms are subsiding, but she says, thank you for your prayers and for your words of encouragement. Felicia, we love you. We also want to say, take care of yourself during this Omni thing. And I did put here so that you could see. Okay, here's a mask. This is my mask. But this is also the mask that's going inside of it. Okay, and this way. So I will be, I love this mask. I thought it went well with my outfit. So I'll be wearing this mask today, but inside is another mask. The K95, I have it over there, but I didn't feel like wearing it today. I wanted to be cute. So I'm gonna put this inside. So please test your mask before you go out. If you can put your mask on, if you can blow out a candle, it's not a good mask. Get a different mask, because that means there's air going out, and so therefore there's air coming in. So life is a sacred journey, family. I'm gonna call you my family, because you are. Take care of yourselves. Drink plenty of tea and ginger and lemon, and put a little garlic in it. Drink it every night. Put honey in it if you need to. Orange peel. This is the recipe. Orange peel, lemon juice or lemon. I just cut the lemon up in quarters. Ginger, a clove of garlic. Boil it, boil it, boil it. While it's boiling, put your head over it. Let the steam go up in there. And then drink it hot. I put honey in it just to give it a little more yum yum. And I drink that before I go to bed. And it helps coat the throat. The steam coats the nose. And slowly but surely, the research is showing that COVID doesn't like heat. Doesn't mean you won't get it. No, because we know that. But it helps your immune system. The lemon helps your immune system. The orange helps your immune system. The garlic helps your immune system. So does the honey. They all have immune building properties in them. So take care of yourselves. Love yourselves, and then love somebody else. Okay, my name is Micheal Pope, and I am the host of Life is a Sacred Journey. Go out and hug a tree, pet a cat, pet a dog, hug a person if it's somebody that you know you can do that with safely. And if you can't hug them by touching them and grabbing them and holding on tight, then hug them this way so they know they are loved. If you are a person out there that thinks you are not loved, or knows that you're not loved, or feels that you're not loved, and you are contemplating taking your life, please get to someone who can lift you up. Call the National Suicide Hotline, which is always a part of our comment area, and know that you are not alone, and someone wants to get you through this time. Okay? All right. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next Friday at Life is a Sacred Journey. You are so amazing to me, Life is a Sacred Journey family. You've got me through so many things in the last 2 years, and I appreciate you more than I can say. So be good, do something a little, but enjoy your weekend. Have a good long weekend, get some rest, and be well. Peace.